Hi, my name is Anurandha and I'm from Bangladesh. I'm an international student here. Yeah, sure. My name is Anurandha and I'm from Bangladesh. I'm an international student here. When I was little, my grandparents and my parents, they always talk about Second World War. But I never had any chance to meet anybody in person to know about the Holocaust or the Second World War. I came from a family where they believe that we should always educate ourselves because they think that education is something that helps us to move forward and that actually help us to do the right thing. So when I was 8 years old, my father handed me a book of Second World War. He told me to know about the history through the photograph. I opened the book and I was horrified. To the devastation in Europe, the photographs were not enough to satisfy the question in my mind. I keep questioning about the people who suffered, who died, and what happened to them after the war. My wish came true when I met Berger. To know about the Holocaust through him was very graphic, informative, and very inspiring. Hello, sir. Berger, he was born in Hungary, and he was his father was sent into the Soviet as a mechanic, right? No. Okay. At the age of 16, he was in Hungary with his mother and his younger sister. As the only man in the family, he has very big responsibility to take care of his family member. When Germany invaded Hungary, it was very sad for Berger that he couldn't go to school, and he missed going to school, and he missed his friend. He couldn't use the public transport and he had to wear Yellow Star all the time. In other words, his life became very restrained. And he talked to me about the the ghetto, the name?
Ghetto, yes.
Ghetto life. He told me about his life over there, and I was really shocked and I was really sad to know how the ghetto life was. To us, when we hear the word ghetto, sometimes we don't know what is it all about. Sometimes we don't know the depth of a word, but when somebody actually was in a ghetto in Hungary and how the life was difficult, then I understand that's not any fancy word we see or we hear or we use. Actually, life in ghetto was very, very, very difficult. And he told me about what happened after that, and I was completely in shock when he told me the 3 days when he was moved from Hungary to Austria. He told me it was a cart van, and he had to stand there for 3 days, and he couldn't move. He was standing there. He couldn't sit. There's not even a space to move his shoulder. They had no food. It was very, very, very difficult over in the cart. And 3 days later, he went to Austria, and in the cart, I think he saw that some people committing suicide, right? And that was, to me, unbelievable. Like, in the cart, like almost it's overcrowded, and you see somebody's dying because they cannot take the physical pain. It's like totally unbelievable and shocking to me. And after that, he was moved to Strasov camp.
Strasov.
Yes, in Austria, and he worked there. And he told me about among many things. He told me how much he worked hard to get his spectacles, and the first time how he heard the word Auschwitz camp, and the story is like that. He went to he didn't have spectacles, and he went to buy spectacles, and he had to plan that a lot. But finally, when he went to buy the spectacles from a person, and he saw the spectacles in a huge room from the floor to the ceiling, it's full, millions of spectacles, and he asked the person that how did he get that, and the person said that these are the spectacles from the Auschwitz Jewish people. That means the millions of spectacles belongs to millions of people that were killed in Auschwitz camp. And this is the first time he heard about the Auschwitz camp. And we move along and we talk about more about what happened after that. And he told me his hard life in concentration camp. When he told me, as I was very happy to hear when he told me that there's nothing in this world and nothing can be compared the freedom. And this is how he told me that in 1945 the Soviet was in Austria to make the Austria free, and he went with his sister and mother in apartment buildings, and he was hiding. He hid his mother and sister in the basement in the storage box and sat on a bench with the building tenants. An SSS officer knocked on the door and asked if there were any Jews over there. The tenants declined that there's no person is there. After some time passed, as they opened the front door, they found that the SS officer didn't come in because he had been shot by the Soviet army. And that time, Mr. Berger realized that they were liberated, and that's that happiness that he understood that okay, we are free now. We can't leave. That's simple thing, and he felt happiness through his vein. And when he told me that, I pictured myself over there, and I tried to picture myself over there, but I don't think I could have realized as much as happiness he felt that time. Berger, he always concludes that it was luck by chance that he is still alive. He says that he lost 26 family members, and most of them were killed in Auschwitz concentration camp. A few years later, he came to United States. Life wasn't easy here as an immigrant, but at least he said, he had the freedom of right and freedom of speech in this country. To me, it is not easy to interpret the feelings of humiliation, discrimination, and fear of death. As a citizen of the 21st century, sometimes I question my duty to the community and to the society. I strongly believe that future is in our hand. And Stephen Berger said that to see the future, we must look backward. What's backward is history. We must know about the history and educate ourselves so that we should never believe in social hatred and political manipulation. We should evaluate our responsibilities so that we can build a better future and a better society.
Thank you. I think she did a very good job.
Thank you.
But as a survivor, you know, my antenna is always up. We have a special talent to smell and see if anything wrong in this world. And I just want to give you one example. We had a terrible natural disaster last week in Haiti. And the world poured the whole heart out to them. People were coming from all over the world to help those poor, unfortunate people. But in 1944, the whole world was silenced when millions were burned in the concentration camps.
I have the same question every day, every single day.
So here is a very good lesson to learn, that the world has two standards, one for us and one for the rest of the world. Thank you.
Let's take my question.
I think that as I listened
Every day, babies.
as I listened to Anurandha's presentation and E.D. Weinstein's presentation, the thoughts in my mind were, you know, as much as you hear about a story, you never really hear the whole story, and there is so much depth to these stories that, you know, of course, an interview of 2 or 3 hours is just the beginning. And I think, you know, keeping that in mind, that we have so much to learn about this moment in history, and to take from these lessons and again move forward. So thank you again, and we'll transition to the next.